Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for Truth show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bermard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard, you don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart, yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and we're going to continue with part 2 of our info series on stress and disease, physical and mental health, community health, its impact in our world, in our lives, in our communities. And I've been practicing 43 years now, graduating from the State University of New York at Stony Brook and the Memphis Veterans Administration Hospital, where I received my certification in implant surgery, periodontal surgery, laser surgery, soft tissue grafting surgeries, bone grafting surgeries, and actually performed sedations, many sedations. But I was always searching for why certain people seemed to do better and others did poorly, because the treatment was the same. Why some suffered more during the treatment and after the treatment, and others had no problem. And as I mentioned in the first show, I studied about something called general adaptation syndrome, which was a scientific term for stress. And the studies that were done with that, showing how these patients, these people, heal more poorly, maintain more poorly over time, were more predisposed to health problems, to recurrences of their diseases or infirmities. And in part 1, we covered something very important. We covered the Surgeon General's advisory on loneliness and isolation that came out about a half a year or so ago. And Buddha, if you put the images back up on the screen, we'll take up where we left off in our last program. Here we go. And here you see from the Surgeon General, and I welcome you to look at this online because it's a very important advisory that he published. And in part 2 now, we're going to go over, well, what can you do? What else is causing you stress? How is that stress affecting you? Dr. Murthy showed, and we went over in part 1, how our relationships with others are essential to our physical and mental health and well-being. Not from a philosophical standpoint, no, but from an actual scientific basis, from studies, from statistics, showing that lack of human contact, human interaction, you get more heart disease, increased stroke, increased dementia, increased really in any and all diseases, because the systemic immune system is being affected by that stress, that general adaptation syndrome. That person is under a negative influence. We talked about how when you go into a room, sometimes you feel something that makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes you're in the presence of certain people and you feel uncomfortable, and your emotion changes. And when your emotion changes, you probably say, I'm not up to it. This is too heavy for me. Or I don't want to go there right now. But you thought they were just words, not realizing that one day the Surgeon General of the country would show that they weren't just words. They were scientific findings that would show the actual consequences of that negative vibration. Which makes sense, because what is sound that's actually noise, but a negative sound? A vibration that's not harmonious, that's erratic, that harms, they can use to actually destroy, versus music that's beautiful, that you like to listen to, that makes you calm, that makes you serene. We've always known that, but we never really had a scientific basis for what we were feeling. Buddha, let's put on that video when you have it ready. Let me know. And I want to show you some of these negative emotions that have been leading to you having stress. Maybe it was due to the loss of someone that you loved, and that caused stress. Maybe it's that you were late to work and you were on an expressway or parkway, and you were just so upset and so harried that you were going to be 20 minutes late, and people were going to yell at you, and they were going to be harassing you, and they wouldn't be understanding. Maybe you have an unrelenting office manager or boss. Maybe it's your significant other that sometimes is very harsh and you'd wish they were different. There are many different reasons why these negative energies come out. They come out in arguments and conflicts. They come out all over the world. But the importance now is the significance of what it's doing to all of us, how it's affecting all of us, because the Surgeon General showed how those negative energies not only cause individual physical and mental health problems, but social, community, violence, lack of accord, and all the problems that we're facing on a community level, and if we look at it really on a global level. Let's put that video on, engineer, to show some of these emotions that are negative, not positive, and causes stress. And when he has that ready, we'll do that for you. Let's go on to the next image while we're waiting for that video. And what then can we do to offset the stress? Well, it's very, very interesting that those things that maybe you tried once in a while, you were too tired to go to the gym, but you decided to go. And by the time you left, you didn't understand how, because you came in exhausted, but you left with more energy. And some of the people there complimented you that you didn't just go home and go to sleep, which was sometimes something that you were so exhausted you had to do, but almost was like a little bit of an apathy level, versus confronting and saying, no, I'm going to go, I'm going to keep my exercise routine. And you leave there with a proud accomplishment of having done so. So there's something in our bodies that naturally helps us with stress, and they're called endorphins. Why are they called endorphins? Because they're a combination of two words, endogenous, which means they're native to the body, and phin from morphine, which means it's a pain reliever or a high hormone. Endorphins are that hormone that exists in your body naturally, that your body gives off when you exercise, when you get out in the sun. Many of us have commented that when you get a little bit of sun, you feel differently. You feel more energy. You don't want to burn your skin, but getting some sun is very good for your vitamin D3, for your bone levels, your calcification levels, and for other factors in your body. You can listen to your music. That raises your endorphin level. You can, this you're probably going to love, some organic 85, 90, 95% chocolate. Eat that with some walnuts, some almonds, some cashews. Those are all fantastic for increasing your natural high, your endorphin levels. You can do some deep breathing, which comes from obviously the exercise, or just do the deep breathing, or maybe from some meditation or yoga or spiritual activity that causes you to relax and releases endorphin levels, which is why you feel good. It's almost as if you, the driver, are pushing the buttons so that you can get back naturally what it seems like we've fallen prey to in the world, looking to illicit drugs, looking to alcohol, looking to vaping, looking to smoking, to get nicotine. Why nicotine? Because nicotine releases dopamine in the body, and it makes you feel good at the outset. But like any other drug, the nicotine then starts not working because your body gets like an employee that you pay without working. They get lazy. They go on strike. They want to get paid more without working. They work less and they want more pay. There you have a person addicted to drugs. The body, in order to get high, they need more of the drug. The drug addict starts taking more drug. They use all their money. They go through all their money. They start robbing. They start taking from others. They're still not producing. Because when somebody's doing that, they're not creating. And when they don't create, their endorphin levels go down the tubes. There's no such thing for them anymore. For them, it's something that's totally unreal. They'd probably laugh at you, scoff at you. God knows, since they would be on drugs, what they would do. But they would not be happy people. And now we see why. And it's very interesting that the body itself has a stress regulator. And it's very interesting, as this is being studied, it almost seems like good diet, good physical behavior, good interaction with other human beings, which Dr. Murthy has shown, causes positive reactions in our bodies. Let's go on to the next slide, engineer. And there's scientific evidence that certain foods and activities, as I mentioned to you, stimulate something called the endocannabinoid system. And he said, well, whoa, Dr. Fialkoff, cannabinoid, that's marijuana. So what are you talking about, marijuana? Taking marijuana? No. I'm telling you that in your body, there's a natural endocannabinoid system that does use cannabinoids like marijuana, but it's in your body. And they help you. They improve your health. They improve your positivity. But it comes about from certain behaviors. Let's take a look at how. Well, it comes about with nutrition. Because if you have good nutrition, if you have essential fatty acids, if you eat eggs, if you eat the high chocolate, not the milk chocolate, not the sugary chocolate, but the 85, 90, 95% cacao chocolate, if you have the walnuts, the flax seeds, if you have the echinacea, the turmeric teas, all of these things, the spices, help you to have better endocannabinoid function, so you become happier. Not because it's an illusion, but because your body releases endocannabinoid hormones, which go to your receptors and cause happiness. And how does it be caused? Because of your integrity and your good choices with what you're eating nutritionally. Your physical lifestyle is another impact on your endocannabinoid system. If you exercise, as we mentioned before, not only does it help your endorphins, but it helps your endocannabinoid system. And the cannabinoids in your body and those receptors, CB1, CB2, and others, and you feel good. Very interesting how that occurs. But when you expose yourself to pesticides and you go, well, but Dr. Fialkoff, I don't work on a farm. How am I going to expose myself to pesticides? Well, because depending on the foods that you eat, if you have foods that maybe are less expensive, but are toxic with pesticide, with herbicide, with different chemicals, you're taking this into your body. So it makes us wonder, and we have to take a look at how we're fertilizing our fields, how we're controlling our crops. What is it that we're selling at the grocery store? And is that positive human interaction or negative human interaction? Because someone may say, well, you know, you don't have to have organic. It doesn't really make a difference. But if it's actually harming people and it's causing a negative human interaction, we've got to take a look at what Dr. Murthy has found. Because this is actually going to affect the community. Not because it's my philosophy or I say so, no. But just logically looking at what he said, we should try to help each other and to have the positive energy with each other by giving each other the best that we can give each other, not from some heavenly approach, but just from a standpoint of scientific health and mental well-being when you read the Surgeon General's statement online. So you want to avoid pesticides, avoid stress, obviously. You want to avoid alcohol, a negative lifestyle, rushing, never sleeping, taking drugs, upset with everyone, discord with many people. This is going to impair your endocannabinoid system, and you're going to seek illicit drugs. And why will you seek illicit drugs? Because you've gone wrong. You've gone down the wrong path. You took the wrong turn. Anyone gets upset during the day. There's no nirvana on earth. There's no heaven on earth. But we have choices. And now we have a reason, aside from our spiritual beliefs, aside from our religions, aside from the way we were taught by our father and mother, now we have scientific evidence. This is a reason we should treat each other better and more humanely. Let's go on to the next slide, engineer. What's been the impact in our country of these negative behaviors, of these toxic attitudes, of the riots, of the discord, the bigotry, the prejudice, which are poor human relationships? It doesn't matter what race, creed, religion. It's affecting all of us because, as Dr. Murthy brought out, this is in the community. So when you have this community lack of accord, violence, criminality, now we see why it seems like so many of us say our country is changing. What happened to America? Well, what's happening to America is something that Dr. Murthy is sounding an alarm. And we need to listen to our Surgeon General and wake up and follow his heed, his scientific data showing how we need to interact with each other in a positive way. Look at the negativity of what's happening in our country, because we haven't been. 76,940,000 Americans are on psychiatric drugs. That's about 25% of the country on some form of psychiatric drugs. Unbelievable. 45,204,000 or so Americans on antidepressants. Why antidepressants? Because they're not happy. Because their endorphin system went into the closet, into the garbage pail, with their endocannabinoid system long ago, when they stopped being positive, when they stopped having hope, when they went through something negative in their life possibly, or maybe because they're surrounded by negative people that they just don't know how to get away from. So let's take a look on this video of some of these emotions that are toxic. Engineer, please.
Do you know someone who has never fully recovered from a serious loss in life? Or a traumatic experience? And in your own day-to-day life, do you sometimes experience self-doubts, negative thoughts, unreasonable fears, upsets, or irrational behavior? The painful experiences of our past clearly have an effect upon our present behavior. But to what degree and why? What causes the mind to depart from rational thought or behavior?
So there you go. And now we take a look at this and we go, well, maybe we should apply understanding. Maybe even though sometimes it's very difficult to communicate with our significant other, we've got to make a better effort. We've got to ameliorate and improve those negative emotions and not go to sleep with those horrible feelings and wake up the next morning with the same feelings. Now we see why there's so much importance in handling this. Let's go on to the next slide. Now we see the importance of positive human interaction. And we want to avoid foods that have chemical additives. They're very processed because they increase the stress on our bodies. They contain too much sugar, too much hydrogenated fats. If you go back to that slide, engineer, and they're not good for your body. They're negative to your system, and they affect the way your system works. These poor food choices lead to an effect in your gastrointestinal system, which we see here on this slide. And that changes your bacteria, your what's called the gut microbiota. Microbiota being the bacteria and living organisms in your gut that are there, that actually send signals to your brain to moderate how you feel. And so what happens when you eat the wrong food, when you have too much stress, those bacteria in your stomach, that microbiota changes. And so when it changes, the signals that go to your brain are different. The endocannabinoid system signals are different. And you get increased cortisol levels. And those increased cortisol levels give you mood swings, give you high blood pressure, changes the way you feel. It gives you increased urination. You tend to start gaining weight. You get uncomfortable that you're being obese. You may get more thirsty. And you're just not the same as you were because the stress over that long period of time, the wrong foods, the wrong behaviors, the high cortisol levels, now your body is out of whack and it's affecting your brain hormones, your normal hormones, and you're not happy. Let's go to the next image. So what do we need to do? We need to eat differently. We need to act differently. If we bring back those slides, engineer, they seem to be moving on their own. And if we bring back the slide of the food, we'll see that there's certain foods that are positive for you. Walnuts, turmeric, avocado, ginger, citrus fruits, pistachios, the dark chocolates that I mentioned to you, the spinach, the kale, the Brussels sprouts. You see all of these different foods that you probably say, well, that's great for somebody else, but not for me. What's interesting, they reduce your anxiety. Not only do they improve your health, not only do they improve your weight, but they improve how you feel about yourself and your happiness. So that's why it's so important, and what I want to conclude with on this talk, and let's leave this up here, we want to mobilize as doctors because we need to help our patients with not only their heart disease, dementia, depression, with their oral disease, with their periodontal gum disease, with the loss of teeth and needed dental implants, which are very costly, so that they can preserve what they have because they're not depressed, because they're not eating so much sugar, just trying to reach some satiation, some happiness, because they're not happy in their lives. And so as healthcare providers, we're well positioned to help our patients to understand this. So if you're a physician out there, or a dentist, or a health practitioner of any sort, a nurse, chiropractor, and you watch these 2 series of videos on the stress, on the Surgeon General statements, on what we can do, please study more and apply them. If you're an individual in the community, spread the message. Let's bring a safer community. Let's go to the next image, please, engineer. And here you see all the different factors that we can do in our communities. We can do it as health practitioners in our very own offices, educating our patients, telling them what would be positive, what would be negative. We can do that in community social wellness, with parks, with trees, with birds, with fields, with rivers, with ponds, with preserving wildlife, with having good environment, preserving the air and the water and the soil, and allowing time for social connection, allowing time for nature. If you really look at it, mankind is part of the beauty of life, and we're part of the harmony of life. And it's interesting how the Surgeon General's statement makes so much sense when you think about the happiness you feel when you go on a vacation on an island where there is harmony in that island. And so you feel that harmony, and you're in the ocean, or you're in the pool, and you're nice to people, and they're nice to you. Why do we have to go to the island? Why do we have to take a vacation? Let's apply it all the time. Let's go to the next slide, engineer. And so let's end off on this. I want to give a salute to the Surgeon General of our country, Dr. Murthy, for your leadership, for pointing out something that many doctors have known for so long, that stress was much more than just a word. There was something that took much more than just taking a vacation for. I hope this second part you found useful to you, that you apply it, that you have more understanding, that you apply it when it's difficult, that you let the person in off the entrance ramp on the expressway tomorrow, that you make better choices in your foods, and you don't eat processed foods to the degree you were doing, that you think before you eat certain foods and drinks that you've had in the past, and that you search out positive behaviors like exercise, spirituality, helping others, and to be happier naturally. Check out the Surgeon General's site. It's the time, as our show says, it's a time for truth, the beauty of life, the miracle of life. Let's all help life to continue. That's really what this is all about. Let's not kill each other. Let's not hate each other. Let's not despise each other. Let's realize how much exists because of humanity. Next time you're flying into the airport somewhere and you look down, realize how many people of different races, of different religions, of different cultures are all getting along to make that whole city exist. And let's respect our wildlife, our nature, our trees, our forests, and our planet. Life is a miracle. Let's take care of it. I hope you've enjoyed this show. I hope it didn't get too airy-fairy at the end, but I wish you a life with more happiness, more wellness, and more spirituality, and more prosperity. Be well.
This show was sponsored by Atimefortruthfoundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you're giving everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet